Hey guys, so let me show you how I did my animation for my web page where I have my 3D model here that you can mess with, and then it also rotates and follows you around the page as you scroll. So I used the Three.js for the 3D model loading. This is their documentation page. Really good documentation. I use this import option here into my index.html. So if you want to use that, that's on their documentation page and creating a scene. Because I was having some trouble installing, but so we're going to need that. We're going to need Three.js, and then we're going to need a 3D model. So I have my drone, but also you want to get a free one. They have these free public domain ones. I found this website on Reddit, and I was just looking for basic 3D model. I went to food and drink, and I'll grab this hot dog. So you can download that and then extract it. So this is, I'm gonna put it on my main guy here. So my demo folder. So I have this folder now, the .fbx, that is the 3D model file that we're looking for. So I'll just put that in that directory so it's easier to find. And then what we need is HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, our handy friends. And then for starting with the HTML, it's like a typical HTML page. I'm going to use that import script right there, and then I'm going to link my CSS and my script on there, and then I'll just have two kind of basic elements just to demonstrate what I'm trying to show. So I'll have one just kind of regular like content element, and I'll put a header in there just so that you can see what it looks like when the 3D model interacts with other elements and goes around them and goes through them like it did on my web page. Classic header right there, and then you also have to have a section to put your 3D model inside. So I'm going to name it 3D model. Why not? All right, so that should be all we need for the HTML. And then for the script, which we'll do next, there's a few things. So this is where the Three.js actually comes into play. So you want to import it. So you import the Three.js for all the functionality. Orbit controls, that's how you actually are able to rotate around and zoom in on your 3D object. And then FBX loader, so that's the type of 3D model loader, and they have one of these for well, all of the 3D model types that I messed around with. I used Three.js, but this hot dog model is a FBX, so use the FBX loader for that. It works all the same way. Basically, all I had to do this was to switch out the FBX part, or the Three.js part, for FBX. Okay, and then we're gonna add some things that are standard. So you're gonna add you need a scene, you need a camera. This kind of camera comes with these default values that were on the Three.js website. You need your WebGL renderer. So that's what we're going to, that'll render our canvas for us. So we have our this set clear color. This will make it so that our canvas is see-through, so that it will this is like set the opacity here, this last value to 0. So that's so that we can so that the background of the canvas just takes on the color of whatever element is behind it. So yeah, so we have our renderer now. I'll add the document the query selector for the 3D model. So we put in the ID of that element that we have, the 3D model element, and then we append that renderer DOM element onto it. So this is how we actually insert our 3D model into that 3D model HTML element container. So also down here I've added the orbit control. So yeah, add that to the renderer.dom element as well. And then from there we actually load our 3D model. So I'll reload our hot dog FBX and create a function for that object. So first couple things here are just adding the object, have it the scale. I had to scale it down a bit because it was, well, you could only see part of it, and then rotate it so that it looks normal, and then add the object to that scene, and then some stuff for the camera here. So having the camera look at that origin point where the object is, and then these couple things were just kind of to add light. You have to, with Three.js, you have to have light to actually see the object, or it'll just look black. So I've added this ambient light, and that's just kind of like a regular, like constant light, so you can see it. And then this point light, it's just kind of like a little extra kind of cool effect that it had, where I take that point light and I add it kind of behind the camera. So whenever you're like looking around the object and kind of zooming in on it, it looks like you're kind of casting light onto that object. And then I'll set the initial camera position so that the camera is set, and then I'm going to add this animate function. So this is what actually will animate your scene. So after we do this, then we'll actually be able to see our object. So animate, and then renderer.rend, we want to render the scene and the camera. And then we will animate. Okay. Now if I'll use a node to load everything, and so we should actually be able to see our 3D element now. Maybe not. Loader is not defined. Alright. A little live action. Oh, that should be lowercase, I believe. Try it again. Okay, yeah. Oh, I didn't, yeah, you have to set up the loader. So loader equals new, and then we're gonna put in that FBX loader, or whatever your 3D model is would be there. So that's the actual loader for your guy. And then here we go. So now you can see our hot dog. See that kind of point light that I was talking about, where it looks like the light's coming from you. Yeah. So we have our heading element, and then we have our hot dog right here. So we can kind of play with it. That's the orbit controls, where you can actually zoom in on it and play with it like that. And then I am going to, so here's where we add the actual like animation part. So the way that I did this, so I'm listening for a scroll event. And then pretty simply, this is how I started with it. Basically, so you can set the object rotation, and you'll set it in these different directions, X, Y, Z. So the one that I want is X, and then I'll set it to equal to the window scroll. So however much the window scrolls, that's how much and this will probably be too much to start with, but that's how much the object will actually rotate. So you can see as I scroll up and down the page, the hot dog rapidly rotates. Okay. So the orbit controls take over when you're actually in the canvas, and you can zoom in on it, and then when you want to scroll down the page, you'll do that. And so I added some style elements here to give so you can kind of see what's happening a little bit better there. So I kind of push the canvas. I set the canvas to a fixed position, and put it behind the so it stuck it on top. I set the position to fix so that like when you're scrolling down, that's how the 3D model actually stays with you all the way. And then I changed the Z index so that it's behind the other elements. So what happens is you kind of get that effect where you scroll down and it looks like the hot dog's kind of following you because that element is fixed onto the back behind all the other elements. So it will, when you scroll, it'll actually go behind your heading there. And I don't know. Let me check that. It was main content, not main container. That's why. Okay. So now you can see my hello world. So I set this element to be longer so it can actually stretch down the page, and then I put hello world in the middle there, and I set the Z index higher so that when this hot dog rolls, it rolls back behind it. So that's the gist of what I did. You can see in my model how it kind of goes to the side. How I did that at first was so not only can you set the rotation of the object, but you can also set the position. So let's say we wanted to do the same thing for the object position in the X direction. So the effect that has is it makes our hot dog disappear. No, it's okay because it's so rapid. That's what's happening. All right, so it's a little bit too much juice. So let's just let's slow it down a little bit. Okay, there it goes. So you can see how it goes to the side like that. So I kind of had certain points where once it reached a certain position, then it would come back. And actually, what I ended up with is what they have, which you can find in the Three.js library, which is these positions, these keyframes. So what I end up doing to have kind of like a smooth rotation where it goes every time at the very end is I'll have these key positions kind of laid out. Like these are the positions that I want it to go through. And then as I go, as we scroll through, like make a certain progress through the page, then it will like go to those different positions. So you'll find like when you do like this, which you may want, you may not want. I kind of played with the idea a little bit, like the position will change in a way that is inconsistent, and I wanted to have that effect where it would change the same every time you scroll. So yeah, that's it. This is on my GitHub. I might do a video about those keyframes to kind of give more details about that part of it. But yeah, thanks for watching.